sensational. Charles Chuckloaf here is blah yada yada. Continue to watch billion movies. On this episode, we got a documentary I've been wanting to watch for a long time. It was finally released, and we'll review that. And we got an actor that has dramatically turned it around, one I had bashed recently. We're going to review the 2017 Academy Award winner for Best Picture. And we got a new movie has crept into the top 5. My top 5 of this year, I should say. Just as Who's Driving Doug crept in recently, immediately gets kicked out. So, here we go. Let's get going. Number 281, Detroit. Just down the road. The true story about cops killing 2 black guys during a raid and then the impending trial. It was based on a true story. Sure seemed like there was a lot of hostility between the black community and the police. Just like today. Some things never change. But yes, it was a very entertaining movie, very informative too. But kind of sad though. But it was fine. Yep. 282, not so fine, was Lemon. This guy teaches this. He's in a bad marriage, and he knows his wife is cheating. And then he also on the side teaches this acting class. And one of the students is portrayed by Michael Cera, and he's more stranger than he is. But things start going off the cliff, and he gets stranger and stranger, and the only work the acting coach can get is in commercials for hepatitis and other things. But yeah, this is just a strange, off-paced movie. I cannot recommend. 283, a real weird documentary, Freakonomics, based on a best-selling book apparently. Sold millions and millions of copies. I cannot really explain what Freakonomics is, but it's the documentary had several little sections, and each one was different. There was one section where they tried to take failing students and pay them money if they passed their classes. And what they found was they can make D students into C students, but failing students are going to be failing no matter what you give them. And then they had a real interesting section about abortion. Let me tell you about this, people. Apparently, in areas that have high abortion, the crime drops 15 to 30 years later. So apparently, obviously, unwanted mothers are not going to be great parents, and thus, their unloved child is not going to grow up to be a thug and commit crimes. So, when you say you're pro-abortion, you can also admit to being anti-crime. How about that? There's several interesting sections in this movie, but yeah, those were the 2 that kind of stuck out. Then new into my top 5 of the year, 284, I, Tonya, ice skater Tonya Harding story. This movie was based completely on actual interviews with the people that lived it. Mostly Tonya Harding and her mother and Jeff Gillooly, the boyfriend husband. Boy, this is white trash heaven here. This is... There was a scene where Tonya asked her mother, "So how did I skate today?" And the mother says, "You skated like a graceless bulldyke," and then stabs her in the shoulder with a knife. Can't make that up. That's what happened. And then she meets, eventually she leaves the mother and just runs away. And then meets Jeff Gillooly, and every time he has to turn around, he smacks her right in the face. Yeah, fascinating film. It's easily top 5 of the year, maybe top 3. 285, The Shallows. This was so much better than 47 Meters Down. It's another shark attack movie. This chick is in the little paradise area. I forgot where. It's down south. And she's surfing, and this big giant shark shows up and starts attacking. And what I didn't understand, there's some holes in this, but there's a humpback whale corpse 50 meters away. The shark's already killed 2 people, and the corpses just float to the shore, but yet the shark wants more. Like, you have unlimited food right there, all around you. Why do you want to kill this 100-pound woman? But just watch it for what it is. It's a fine little suspense. 286, Rebel in the Rye. This movie sat next to the TV for a while. Rebel in the Rye does not sound like a great movie that I would want to watch, but turned out to be really good. Based on a biopic of the J.D. Salinger, who wrote The Catcher in the Rye, his one and only novel. After this, he kind of went a little loony, and for his sanity, he stopped writing books and never did a follow-up. Just wrote that one, and that was one and done. And Kevin Spacey pops up in this as one of the college professors, and he's looking more like Nathan Lane every day. But he did a good job in the film, as did the main guy, Nicholas Hoult, who's also appeared in Mad Max Fury Road, but he's completely unrecognizable. But yeah, nice little film. 287, not so nice. Prom Ride. It's to that point where it's so bad, it's almost comical. It's almost okay because it's bad. So this group of about 12 seniors are on their prom, and they're going around town in this party limo, I guess, and they're having a good time. And then the limo driver gets offed, and this guy kind of takes over and forces the kids to do other things to each other, and yeah. Just as you're about to give up on it, something actually happens, and then you're like, well, okay, I'll keep watching. And that happens multiple times. But yeah, not great. 287, Prom Ride, no. 288, Mountain Devil. Bigfoot docudrama. You know, I love my Bigfoot. A lot of recreations of this one guy's story, who was attacked by a Bigfoot up in the woods in the 70s, and allegedly had some 8mm footage, which they showed at the very end of the dead Bigfoot corpse, and looked like a costume to me, but who's to say? As I mentioned earlier, Who's Driving Doug, starring R.J. Mitty, just got pumped out of the top 5, but I looked up some other R.J. Mitty movies to see if he's got any other movies that would be worth watching. Then I saw he did a science fiction movie with Wesley Snipes. I thought, how can I miss this? Boy, this movie. This has got bad Sci-Fi Channel effects written all over it, and that's... Even though that's what it was, it still was watchable. It's this group of kids and during an alien invasion, and Wesley Snipes is this kind of loner out in the woods, and he's kind of hanging out nearby, and the aliens attack, and he's fighting off the aliens because he's been abducted before and he knows the aliens. Yeah, but if you can just get over the bad special effects, it's not horrible. 290, a documentary I couldn't wait to watch. I fired up the HBO free preview and watched this, the Andre the Giant HBO documentary. I've loved Andre. I've read so much about Andre through other pro wrestlers' autobiographies, and there was one autobiography just specifically about Andre, which was so disappointing. I could have written it in an afternoon, to be honest. And so I was anxious to learn about Andre, and It was fascinating, and it was also kind of sad because towards the end there he just kept on going, even though his body was falling apart on him, and he was barely 40. But yeah, highly recommend this. You'll learn a lot, and you'll laugh, and you might cry a little, might get a little tear. But fascinating human being, Andre. 291. The Editor. I don't know how this got on my list. Jesus, this is D-level movie here. This guy with a wooden hand edits movies, and they were making this movie, and people kept getting killed off, so they kept replacing the actors, and more people kept getting killed off, and the editor was the only one not to get killed off, so they suspected him, and yeah, just cheap special effects to kill people. That's basically what this was. Not so great. 292. Jodorowsky's Dune. Hope I said that right. Documentary basically about I can't say his name. Jodorowsky. Should figure his first Alejandro. That's his. We'll just call him Alejandro. Alejandro here was making a version of Dune, and they had all these fantastic drawings and ideas and casting ideas, and they totally scrapped it and went in a different direction. And it's a documentary about what could have been, about what it might have been, as big as Star Wars, because it was going to be made about the same time. And yeah, but it's interesting, but also a little sad. But yeah, it was fine though. 293, 21 and over. Miles Teller and his other buddy meet up with another buddy to celebrate his 21st birthday, and they go out drinking, and the buddy that turns 21 and gets so slobbering drunk he passes out, and they got to get him home just so he can get ready for a big job interview he has the next day, but they don't know exactly where he lives, and they're afraid of his scary father. But it's fine. Teeny, kind of a teeny bopper movie, but yeah. 294, Despicable Me 3. Not huge on the Despicable Me movies. They're watchable, but I don't think they're really great. It was good to see Trey Parker casted as the bad guy. I couldn't recognize the voice for a while, and eventually, where do I know that voice from? Voice from South Park. But yeah, then we learned the main guy has a twin brother, and typical Pixar. 295. This was fun. Sundogs, currently on Netflix. This guy who's a little off keeps trying to enroll in the military, and they keep politely rejecting him. But he is determined to help his country. So after a while, they say, just be vigilant and watch out for the terrorists. This was right after 9/11. And he's like, okay, I'll do that. And so he goes out and recruits this chick that would hang out at the casino to rip people off, and they become friends, and they're watching people they suspect of doing bad things when they're not really. But, well, they don't know any better. But, and Ed O'Neill pops up as the father, and it's nice to see him get some roles. Yeah, nice little movie. 296, Orbiter 9. Get ready to read some subtitles. This scientist, well, what's going on there? They have a little simulator underground, and this girl's been underneath there the whole time, her whole life, thinking she's in a spaceship traveling through space, and it's just a simulator underground, but she doesn't know that. And then there was a problem in there, so the guy, when the scientist had to go in there to fix something, and of course, they fall in love, and they do the humpty hump. And then the scientist leaves and leaves the girl behind, but then, he misses the girl. So he goes back in and helps her escape, and so you got a fish out of water situation for a little while. But then the scientist people want the girl back. It's fine. Nothing special. $2.97. God, this movie, Dark. That's what it's called, Dark. Also on Netflix, I believe. So it starts out with two lesbians going at it, and then one of them goes to this bar and hooks up with a dude, and then she hooks up. Yeah, she dings the dude. The dude comes home with her, hooks up with the dude, and then there's this blackout. The dude leaves. Then she's all alone in this apartment, and she's scared. Even though she's scared to death, she kept leaving the apartment. For what reason, I don't know. I mean, you're all locked in there. You're safe. Stay there. But she keeps leaving. She goes down the hallway, and then she goes down the fire escape, and then she comes back, and yeah. So you're trying to figure out now who's stalking her, if anyone really stalking her, or is she just going crazy in her brain, thinking about what's going on in the dark. But yeah, it was just okay. $2.98. Blood Money. John Cusack. Apparently he robbed this plane or something, so he sends down all this money on a parachute, and he's on a separate parachute. And the money goes down this river, and so he's trekking the money down the river, and there's these three campers that find the money, and of course they get a big argument about what to do with the money. And then John Cusack goes after them because that's his money, even though he stole it. But so everyone starts turning on everyone, and there's no real likable characters in this film. They're all kind of douchebags. And the ending was bad too. And the girl was a really bad actress. She was so horrible. So yeah. $2.99. Trumbo. Biopic of the screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. Bryan Cranston, who I've slammed on this show many times, has turned the page. He's turned it around. He's so good with drama and so blindly bad with comedy. But this was an excellent little film. He was... Oh, time for a Mountain Dew break. 1 second. He was a screenwriter during World War I-ish era, but he was an openly communist, and that was a bad thing back in those days, and well, I guess it still is, but not like it was back then. And him and all his communist buddies that were also screenwriters all got blacklisted, and the movies kind of took a dip because there was no good writers anymore. So they would secretly write movies under different names and sell those scripts to companies, and specifically one company run by John Goodman. And those movies would end up doing really, really well, and eventually it leaked out, like, wait a minute, this guy's still writing scripts? But yeah, very interesting, fascinating movie, Trumbo. 300... 1/4 of the way there, folks. Number 300, The Hero. Sam Elliott plays washed up Western star, and his better days are behind him, and he's trying to make a comeback. The only sad thing about this movie that it's already been made, and it was made 10 years ago, in a movie called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. It's the same exact movie, almost scene for scene. And the wrestler, he plays a washed up pro wrestler from the 80s who's trying to make a comeback. And in both movies, they have estranged daughters that they're trying to rekindle their relationship with. And they both end up, in both movies, they no-show to dinner to make things worse. And in both films, they have a little love thing with a younger woman. And they're both, bent on making a big comeback. It's the same movie. And it's also was done as Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges, which was made a little bit after The Wrestler as a country singer. It was also the same film. So they just keep rehashing. So if you haven't seen the other movies I mentioned, then the hero would be new to you, new and different, so I guess it's fine. I think the wrestler was the better of the three. 301, Santa's Sleigh, Bill Goldberg, pro wrestler. Wow. This is on a lot of lists of worst Christmas movies of all times, and as it should be. There's no real funny parts, and I can't believe James Caan had a cameo. Gosh, what is he thinking? And Chris Kattan too, geez. Well, that doesn't surprise me. But, yeah, real bad. And what annoys me, right about the same time, Bill Goldberg was wrestling in the WWE, and he signed a 1-year deal and then quit because he said the product was, quote, too raunchy. But at the same time, he releases this film full of swearing and boobies bouncing all over and blatant, unnecessary violence. But yeah, WWE is just too raunchy for him. The co-stars, the chick from Lost that was perpetually pregnant in the beginning, if you ever watched Lost, she's in this. I bet she doesn't put this movie on her resume when she goes to auditions. So, 302, Wakefield. Bryan Cranston hits another homer here. This movie was just above okay, but it gets a lot of points for being original. Instead of, he's a businessman, and he's kind of been in this lull in his marriage, and now when he's coming home, he decides not to go home, and decides to kind of camp out in the little unused room above the garage, and he kind of just hangs out there and just watches his family through the window up there, and just sees how they're going to cope without him there, and eventually they have a funeral, and eventually the wife falls in love with another guy, and years go by, and he's just up there hanging out, eating garbage, and just living. But yeah, fascinating movie. Here we go. 303, Academy Award winner, Best Picture, The Shape of Water. There's so many things I gotta say about this movie. Good grief. When the chick is trying to break him out and get him to the river or whatever, it blatantly reminds me of Finding Dory for some reason. But anyway, well-made film. It's a period piece in the 50s, I think. And Michael Shannon, who you know I love, greatest actor, living actor. He co-starred. He's the bad guy. And this mute chick falls in love with merman fish, I guess, because she taught it a little sign language, and then decides to have a relationship, a physical, boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with this thing. Coco the gorilla learned a little sign language, but you didn't see women flocking to Coco the gorilla, porking him. Nobody porked Coco the gorilla, as no one should be porking this fish. And then she tells her your older gay friend, I'm having this thing with this fish. And the guy didn't say, "Oh, you're banging a fish. That's not cool." He's like, "Oh, good for you." Then the chick tells her black coworker, "Yeah, I'm playing hide the pickle with this fish." "Oh, I'm glad you're happy." Seriously? She's humping a fish. I bet the religious right hated this movie. It's an abomination. It's immoral. Pretty soon she's going to want to marry the fish and get tax breaks and stuff, and that's not Christian. If you can get past that part, this movie's not bad. 304, Murder on the Orient Express. Kenneth Branagh starred, directed, and produced this film. Co-star Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe, Michelle Pfeiffer, Judi Dench, among others. A fun little old-style kind of caper. Looks like it should have been made in the 50s. I think the guy that did Shape of Water should have made this film maybe instead of the fish screwing movie. But after about 2/3, I could see exactly where it was going. And when you watch as many as I do, you know that's norm. So when that doesn't happen, it's like, wait a minute, they surprised me. But it's fine. 3:05, Cold Comes the Night, another Bryan Cranston movie. This one just okay. Did not hit a home run here. Can't expect a home run every time he just kind of hit a double down the line. But how do I explain this one? He's blind. Well, he's going blind. He has this driver, and they stop at a hotel because the driver's tired and needs some rest. And the driver gets involved with a hooker, and the hooker and the driver end up killing each other. Excuse me. And then the hooker and the driver end up killing each other. Too much Mountain Dew, and so then the Cranston kind of abducts the hotel owner, who's this young woman with a young child, and then this woman also has a weird kind of side relationship with this cop that keeps getting involved and kind of unravels from there. But it's just okay, just yeah. 3:06, The Great Wall. Matt Damon. This movie was fun. These giant green rhinoceros CGI monsters are attacking the Great Wall of China, and Matt Damon's kind of this traveling vagabond crook with his little buddy there, and they're brought in and they start helping out the Chinese people. Chinese people fight off these monsters, and they kind of become members of the group, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just a fun little monster fighting movie. 3:07, Slaw, a $5 made movie that is supposed to be a spoof on Saw. Oh boy. This was bottom barrel bad, but some of it was so bad I had to laugh. This giant man and this midget kidnapped these people that were mean to them in the real world, and then kidnapped them to torture them and saw like traps. And for some reason, pro wrestler Kevin Nash pops up. And he's doing an autograph session with several other wrestlers in this room that's, I swear, was 10 by 20, with other wrestlers such as Glacier and Ric Flair, who was not played by Ric Flair, who was played by an old has-been wrestler named Tom Pritchard, and a Sammy Hagar ripoff, and a U2 ripoff. And each time they got up close to the fake Bono, he would quote a U2 song. And the two detectives trying to find the people that were kidnapped were named Hooch and Turner. Turner and Hooch, ha ha ha. But yeah, this is. See, things like that, it made me kind of giggle. So it keeps it from getting on the complete poop list. But yeah, I guess that is it. That's all we got. So yep, that's it. I have no idea what's coming in for next time. I'll get there when I get there. Okay, see you later.